Welcome to Journalist Debrief, where we speak to journalists about their experiences on the field. My name is Esther Adaji. My guest today is an interesting one, and I'm so glad to have her here today. She is a fact checker and an assistant editor with Dubawa, Nigeria. Her name is Lois Ugbede. Lois, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Esther.
You're welcome. So can you tell us what is Dubawa and what work you do for Dubawa?
Dubawa is a fact-checking project for the Center for Journalism, Innovation and Development. Our work is basically about producing fact-check articles on viral and controversial claims. We also produce articles, media literacy articles, and explainers on issues that are controversial. And we also do advocacy to teach people, students, institutions, and their staff how to interact with information online and offline.
So for the ordinary man on the street, what is Dubawa?
Dubawa is basically a platform that helps you check if something is true or not. So when next you see something that is not true or is suspicious, you can send it our way.
Yeah, so I saw one of the stories you fact-checked online, and it was interesting. It was about Nigeria being the second highest when it comes to HIV and AIDS. Can you speak more about that?
Okay, yeah. We saw a claim by a popular health influencer, a proper doctor, trying to explain the impact of some decisions by the US president and how it affects the treatment of HIV in Nigeria. And to buttress his point, he said that Nigeria has the second highest people living with HIV. It was interesting to see because it wasn't a straightforward issue, the issue of HIV and people living with HIV. When he was probed, he referenced an article by UNICEF from 2018. And to our amazement, the data referenced by that article was from 2015. This is 2025, 10 years later. And you're referencing an article from a data statistics or data set from 10 years ago. When we looked up recent statistics, we saw that Nigeria has the third or the fourth highest people living with HIV, which makes his claim misleading. And then we also noticed that there are different terms around HIV that mean different things. And if you don't understand this, you will read statistics wrongly. We have the prevalence rate, we have the burden of HIV, and we have the people living with HIV. And we had to explain all of these concepts to our readers in that fact check.
No, you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Yeah. So can you tell us the challenges you face in Dubawa?
A lot of times for our client and the kind of data system we have, access to data is an issue. Conflicting data sets. Sometimes you get a data set from NBS and a conflicting one from the Nigerian National Debt Office and all of that. We also have tools. Some of the AI tools that are developed do not put into consideration our own specifics. For example, our languages. For example, I have a tool where I want to interpret an audio or get a transcription, and then it's interpreting certain words like the local dialect wrongly, or we have Google Map not having current pictures or videos of certain locations and all of that. So some of those are some of the challenges we deal with. And we also have difficult experts in Nigeria. So when you reach out to people, they don't want to talk. They always feel defensive. Or some will just say, I said this because I said this, without saying, okay, I said this because you can read this up from this. This is my source. They do not like to be questioned. They want to give their opinion as all-knowing and all of that, for those that even are willing to speak with you. So experts also is a major challenge for us.
Wow. So can you tell us one of the most outrageous stories you've fact-checked?
Okay. One that at the top of my head is one that happened during the COVID-19 where they said the vaccine will make you infertile and all of that. And then there's also the one that talks about some of these herbs keep reoccurring, how they can help you cure cancer, how they can do that. But one very funny one that came up in December that I worked on, which is a long-standing myth. I don't know if you've heard of it, where they say if you have conjunctivitis, what we call Apollo, you use your early morning urine to wash the face and all of that, which is very dangerous. And it has been a long-standing myth. And to see that it was coming up as a recommendation for a mother who came online to ask for help on how to address the issue her child was having, I knew that it was a long-standing myth that still had strongholds on Nigerians, and I had to work on it. So yeah, that's the two I can reference right now.
Thank you very much for that. Well, we are going on a break, but before we do, when we return, we'll ask her how she is balancing work life and family life. Thank you. Welcome back to the show. Well, earlier we spoke to Lois and she was telling us about stories that they fact checked. She told us about Dubawa and she told us about some Nigerians who do not want to be questioned, like what I have said is what I have said, and the role of AI in fact checking. Now we are back and we're speaking to Lois to tell us about how she navigates family life and work life. So Lois, how do you do that?
I think what really helps, it can be challenging and overwhelming at times, but what helps is having a support system, having a community of people who are invested in what you're invested in as well. And it's also a thing of drive and passion. If you're passionate about something, you will always find a way around it to make it work. When you have support system like your partner, family members who can show up for you, show up for your kids when you're away or you're unable to show up for them, and also having a flexible work structure where you can come in some days and work from home some days. And also when you come into work, you have willing colleagues who are supportive and are ready to help you care for your baby. So when you have interviews or you have to be out of the office or on the field and you can't take your child out in the sun. Yeah, so support systems are a great way to help me balance that out. And then having structures that are very, very flexible.
That's very good. So in essence, marry an intentional man.
Is important.
Yeah.
It is very important because beyond your work structure, if you do not have an intentional or supportive man, it will be a difficult thing. You would shy away from opportunities because you do not want to overstep or do a lot of things that can bring a strain on the relationship. Yeah.
Okay, so what are the challenges you face on your job?
For me, the major challenge will be the gap that motherhood brings in your career. So sometimes when you give birth, there's the 4 months maternity leave where you're away from doing any work. And then when you come back, you're like, do I even still remember what I do or how to do what I do and all of that? So that gap is also a big challenge. To go away and come back and blend in again is a major challenge. And it also affects your assessing opportunities. For example, you give birth in that timeline where you are still breastfeeding, you cannot take some trips, opportunities that have to involve you traveling because you have to choose between going without your baby or traveling with your baby, which is an extra cost. I did a lot of traveling last year when I came back from a maternity leave, and that's when I realized traveling with a baby that will be on your lap will incur extra cost. I mean, why am I paying for a baby that will still sit on my lap and all of that? But I needed to make that decision because I chose to do exclusive breastfeeding and I didn't want to break that. So I had to make that option. Some mothers who are not exclusively breastfeeding can drop off their child and come back to it. So yeah, opportunities and the gap.
Okay, so what are the role of women in fact-checking?
I think women are doing a lot. I see Anna Ajakaye, the person who runs Facts Matter. She combats misinformation also by producing video content because people don't have time to read articles, long articles and all that. So she sums those into interactive content that she puts on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. So I think women are doing a lot, especially bringing to bear issues that have to do with gender, that has to do with health. Before now, we have a lot of economic, political issues and fact checks that are being amplified. But now that we are having more women in the fact-checking space, we are seeing issues like claims around pregnancy, around family planning, around mental health that are coming to bear and how they affect people generally. So yeah, we are bringing to light issues that were never of interest.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So in conclusion, what advice do you have for women in career?
I hate giving advice because there isn't a one rule advice that works for everybody. Just find what works for you. And if you're married, find what works for you and your partner, and always communicate with your partner. I think when you have a partner who knows what kind of work you do and where they can come in, it will go a long way to help you. And it's important to always push yourself. There are days you would question your life choices and be like, maybe I just want to be a full-time stay-at-home mom and just let this career thing be, or I'm tired of being an independent lady. Let's just be a baby girl, and stay at home and be taking care of your husband. But if you're interested in something, if you're passionate about something, keep pushing. It is possible, and there's nothing you cannot do.
Yeah, there is nothing you cannot do. Thank you very much, Lois, for that. So, Nigerians, there you have it. Always fact check any information you see online, on the newspapers, anywhere before you believe them. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And until next time, I remain your host, Esther Adaji.